bread friends, it's me, Ellen, your crazy baking girl. So I wanted to do a very quick video with the help of my daddy, the best videographer in the world. You can laugh now, Dad.
Used to be.
Used to be. No, he does a good job. So I just want to show you tiny little bit of how to measure flour and weighing it and how it makes a difference. This is going to be very short. So I have my canister. This is all-purpose flour. I use bread flour for baking bread, or high gluten flour in Meisterlessa, or whole wheat, or rye, depending on what kind of bread I'm making. This happens just to be my all-purpose flour. What I want to show you first is the difference between measuring properly with a cup or not measuring properly with a cup, and why it makes a difference. So I'm going to take my scoop out for now. And I was lucky enough to grow up with a mom who was a fabulous baker. Grandmother was a fabulous baker. Aunt was a fabulous baker. Other grandmother, fabulous baker. And I was lucky that they taught me how to measure properly. But some of you do not know how to measure properly, and I know because we get this question on the bread pages all the time, and I'm always answering, did you scoop or did you fluff? So now I'm going to show you what that means. This is the wrong way to measure. Scoop. So if you've done this before, maybe shake it off. Okay, that's about right. I'm going to call it good. Or even if you know to do this, level it off. Okay, I'm going to show you what happens. I'm going to turn on my scale, and Dad's going to come over and putting it on grams. Okay, it's on grams now. And we're going to, you press tare to zero it out. So I'm going to see what this weighs. So scooped out weighed 155. So I have a bowl over here and a little note. And I'm going to write scoop 155 grams. Okay, now we're going to get rid of this flour into this bowl.
That's the 155 grams.
That's the 155 scooped. So now I'm going to put the bowl back on there. Make sure it's still on zero, which it is. And now I'm going to show you the proper way to measure with measuring cups. What you need to do, I have scoops in all of my canisters. You dig in and you fluff, and you dig in and you fluff, and I'm digging pretty far down. Ugh. And sprinkle it back in. And you dig in and you fluff and you dig in. So there's no chance that any of the flour is still compressed. So now, this is how you measure properly. You fluffed your flour like I just showed you. Take a scoop, put your measuring cup there and sprinkle it in. And what I was taught is to sprinkle to overflowing, and then take your spatula and level it off. Now, the scooped bowl was 155 grams. Let's see what the properly fluffed flour that was measured weighs. 136 grams. So if you look at the two, you can't tell by looking at them, obviously, but when I just scooped, it was 155 grams. When I fluffed it, it's 136 grams. 19 grams. No, 21 grams. I'm sorry. Oh, I can't do math. Anyway, you can see that there's a big difference between 155 grams and 136 grams. So if your recipe calls for 1 cup of flour and you put in 155 grams, that's more than a cup of flour, and your recipe will likely not turn out okay. It's a big difference. Okay, that was part one. Part two of this is simply how much easier it is to weigh. I'm going to put this bowl on the scale, and I'm going to make sure it's tare, 0 grams. Now, let's say for a recipe I needed 435 grams. That's a recipe I have in front of me over there. Watch the scale as I scoop. 435 grams. Are you have it on the scale where you can see the numbers? Okay, 435. So there's 161. And we're at almost 300. And notice how I am sprinkling. I may not need to sprinkle in here. Whoops, I've gone way over because I'm too busy talking. So I'll scoop some out. Almost there. Tap, tap. And I know you get a little flour there. Okay, that's 435 grams. Now, would you rather scoop until you hit a number? Oh, how did it get to?
You pressed on it.
Oh, okay, that's okay. Getting back to grams. There we go. So 436 grams, right? If I had measured with a measuring cup 4 cups of flour, for example, or 4 1/4 cups of flour, that would have taken 4 times longer than it did for me to just sprinkle flour into the bowl on the scale, and you know it's more accurate. So what I do is I find recipes that are in grams, or I convert my recipes into grams. And I've already put up a whole big thing about converting into grams, but let me just show you really fast. I have an empty bowl here, and let's say you have a recipe. I'm going to tear it out. Let's say you have a recipe that calls for 1 cup of flour. So I've already fluffed this flour. So I'm going to put in 1 cup of flour. This is if I want to convert from measuring to grams. So this is a carefully measured cup of flour. I'm going to put it in this bowl. And this is 138. Okay, that was a carefully fluffed cup of flour. And so now I will write on my recipe 138 grams. Now, since the other one was 136, I'm going to do it one more time. So tear it out. I'm going to fluff again. Oh, I left my satchel. I'm going to fluff one more time. And I'm going to measure 1 cup of flour. Sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. All right. I got the same thing again, 139. So now what I'm going to do is note that on my recipe, and then I weigh all my other ingredients, my sugar, my salt, my milk, my water, my bananas, my cocoa powder, whatever it is. I measure it first and then put it into a new bowl or plate or vessel of some kind onto my scale. I weigh it, I write the grams down on my recipe, and then forever and ever and ever, I don't have to use this. And now I look at recipes that call for cups. I'm like, oh, I have to convert the recipe. And I don't even want to make. If somebody gives me a recipe that's in cups, I'm like, oh, I don't want to make that. Because I've gotten lazy, because measuring by weighing is so much easier. Hey, thanks, people. Hope you learned something. Love you guys. Have a great day.